What's up, you guys? We're back with another episode of Dynasty Queens. It is your girl, Leah J, once again, here with my lovely co-host,
Pamela, Nicole. What's going on, y'all?
Yes. You guys, this is part 2 of our conversation with Miss Sheila Heard. Welcome back, Sheila.
Hi.
Hey. So, the viewers are really, adamant about us having you come back for another installment. The first episode was just so endearing and was really a testament to who you are as a person and how you've been able to overcome through everything that you've been through. So for this, segment, we really want you to focus on the businesses that have come from the tragedy and how you're actually impacting people's lives today. So let's go ahead and jump right into after everything happened. We know you took the holistic route. What is it that you did to help, women that have children or people in general that have children with special needs? What was like the first organization or business that you started, and what was the motivation behind it?
Well, basically, I just really help people. I was doing that before I even went to the schools and everything, because I can remember when I was in the military, when we was in Iraq, and the chaplain used to tell me, he said, you was the only one who I didn't have to worry about, because when we had came back stateside, I was upset about something. It wasn't nothing big or nothing. That's when he told me, he said, you was the only one the whole time we was over there that I didn't have to worry about, because you always had a smile on your face. And so then, it was a guy that was in the military as well who I helped, and he had came to me, and I did not realize that he was suicidal. And I was working with him and talking with him, but he didn't tell me until later on. He said, little did you know I was suicidal. But then he told me, he said, after working with me, he said, anybody who he worked with, they had to have some kind of spiritual aspect about them, or he was not working with them.
Oh, wow. That's very important, like we had talked about in the first portion, like you radiate so much positivity. So it takes a special type of person, and to define that person in another person, it's really hard to come by. So I understand like where he's coming from. I've personally gone to therapy, and it's hard to find like that comfortability and that safe zone with just anybody. So I can completely understand where he was coming from.
Yeah, it was a lady who I was working with at one time, and I told her, I said, well, you know what? I'm finna get ready to quit. She said, no, don't you quit. She said, you just don't understand. Your presence makes the difference. And, I didn't even realize that. I be helping people, don't even realize I be helping people. So.
Right, exactly. Can you actually go into detail about, the things that your organization represents? Resilience within the family, empowering people. Go into detail about what some of those things mean to you and what they're supposed to mean for the people that are, going through your programs.
Yeah, first of all, I have to delve off into what's going on with them, to understand where they are coming from, and helping them to understand why they are there where they are. And then too, honestly, helping them to understand what is going to be required for them to move to the next level. Because I want them to be able to get the result they're looking for. Because I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to waste their time either. So that's why
what does an initial consultation look like when someone comes and they talk to you and they say, hey, I need your help? So what are some of the things that you're looking for with that initial consultation? Or is that like an in-person visit? Is it by phone? And what are you guys talking about to get, all the facts straight?
Well, we can do it on phone or even on a Zoom call. And, I just sit down and I talk with them to see what they're going through, to see where they're at, to make sure that I'm a fit for them and they are a fit for me. When I say when they are a fit for me, is making sure that you are ready to take the next step forward. Because if not, we can just revisit this at another time later.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to waste their time, and I don't want to waste my time.
Another thing too, Nia, like I was saying last episode too, like it's kind of like we're on their time. So it's essentially borrowed time, because they have to be ready. Like Sheila's saying, She don't want to waste your time. Like you have to be willing, pretty much. That's the biggest thing. You have to be willing. And
That's
again,
true.
it's about time. So I get that.
So
Yeah,
can
'cause,
you tell, like, with those interactions, like when you are having the Zoom call with someone, based on how vulnerable they are up front? Or do you have some clients that you feel are kind of more reserved, and then as you guys go through, the process, they kind of start to open up more? What is like common for you that you see with your different clients that you take on?
well, see, sometimes when you get a person and they are reserved, they don't really want to talk about it. It could be the fact that they're just not ready to talk about it. But then sometimes too, as we continue to talk and I, explain my story, go over my story, go over some aspects, some personal aspect about me, and that I help them to go ahead and open up and warm up that they are ready to talk about it.
Gotcha.
I like that.
What are some like probing techniques you use to kind of get people to start opening up to you?
Well, basically, like I said, just really when you are talking to a person about when you give them an aspect of yourself, and they'll be like, wow, she's really being open with me. And that'll help them to be open. And they make them to feel like that they can be vulnerable, they can trust me with their information. And that it stays here, it stays with us, because I don't share unless, like if I'm doing a testimony or something, I get their permission to see if it's okay. And that's just where we be at. It's just like, it got to be a win-win for everybody, a win for them and a win for me.
Definitely.
Very true. Now we touched on self-love and just self-compassion last episode. Do you want to go ahead and touch in on like the importance of just, self-identity with your clients with us just a little bit, and how that goes in turn with like therapy and everything?
One thing I always say, you cannot offer somebody else something that you cannot first do for yourself. Like I tell people all the time, I can't love you if I first can't love myself. So how can I love you if I can't love myself? That means I cannot be open to give you what you need to love you. Yeah. And then also too, that I got to be receiving as well, to be receiving of that love. Because a lot of times I had a guy one time who always saying, I love you, but you showing me that you don't love yourself. But you're showing me you don't love yourself. So there is no way in the world that you could possibly love me. And they don't understand that. They don't understand that. And so I have to get them to understand that part first, to get them to start loving themselves, understand what that means, understanding how God loves you. Because see, that's one of the things I understand with myself, that God loves me. So that leaves me free to be able to love myself and show my love to him. See, once I can show my love to God first, then I can show you love. I can show myself love, and I can show others love. And that's a big difference. That's a big accomplishment, but a lot of people don't understand that. And that hinders a lot of people as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, because I feel like those three words are used so loosely throughout, like, whatever, people just say it just to say it, or, say you're in a relationship and one person says it and it's just like, oh, well, dang, I feel obligated. I have to say it because you said it, and not really understanding the meaning behind it, like what actions it takes to show somebody. Because I'm all about actions, like show me, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like you can say it all day.
I hate to see relationships with women and then abusive relationship, but I love him, but he don't love you. He's going to love you to death.
Yeah.
And they really don't understand.
Mm-hmm. Literally love you to death. What are some of the different scenarios or cases, without naming anybody, in particular, some of the more extreme and that you've seen that people just like, hey, I need your guidance, what you got for me right now in order to keep me living, to keep me going? What's like one of the like most, outlandish scenarios that you've seen that someone's going through as far as suffering with, recovering from something devastating?
Well, I had a girl one time, and she was in an abusive relationship, and she was pregnant. And her boyfriend would jump on her. She had got to the point where she could not walk without having a pillow up under her stomach. And she had almost really lost a child.
Oh my God.
And she would not leave him for nothing. She ended up marrying him.
Oh, they weren't even married. Like
No,
this, they were just like
married.
Wow.
No. And she's still with him today. I think he finally stopped jumping on her though. I guess. I don't know. I lost touch with him.
So what do you think? Do you sit down with couples, or is it more like individual sessions? And then the second part of my question is, what do you think are some of the things that make men like that, when you take out the fact that they could possibly be evil, what are some psychological things that people are dealing with who act out that way to the woman they're supposed to love?
Well, sometimes I believe that, I have talked with a couple, and a lot of times it be how they grew up. It be how they grew up, and that's just like with a bully. A bully other people because they were bullied. It's something that they're missing. Is there something that they're missing in their life? It's something that they are feeling insecure about.
That makes a lot of sense. Like you really don't know. You really have to you really have to go back in time, like way back in time, to try to figure out what traumas, what triggers. Traumas and triggers are like the biggest thing with people. Like you got to figure out those pieces of the puzzle to finish the puzzle and get to the solution.
Yes.
I also feel like whenever you're, dating someone before you really get to know them, like everyone has some type of trauma story. Mm-hmm. Some are not going to be as severe as others, but everyone has something that they've gone through, an experience or something they have lived through, whatever it is. We have to learn how to learn the person that we're dating, that we potentially want to marry and spend our lives with. You really have to know that individual before you jump the gun, because everyone has not had a psych evaluation. Everyone doesn't know how to meditate. People haven't been taught these processes. So we really need to learn, who is this person that I'm investing this time into? Because this is my livelihood. Are you all the way there? Are we on the same page? And unfortunately, some women figure out way later down the line that he didn't have all his screws. His screws were loose. So what are some telltale indicators, Sheila, when a woman is, dating a man in the first couple of months? What are some just basic red flags to look for when it comes to just a home ready psych evaluation? What are we looking for in these men?
Well, a lot of times when you're trying to get in touch with them and you can't never get in touch with them, that's a big telltale sign to me. But that's a good indication is either they're married or they're already with somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then they can't never be with you on the weekends or at whatever time. They can't never find time to spend with you. It's just a lot of signs, especially if they always finding some kind of reason to find any little thing that you do upsets them. Mm-hmm. Any little thing that you do upsets them.
Mm.
I mean,
so do you work with couples, or do you do just one-on-one type of sessions and stuff?
I do both.
Okay.
I do both, but most of the time, the one that approaches me, I usually talk with them first, and then really see what's going on and see if they are comfortable, and see that their partner wants to also too do a couple. Because a lot of times, one of them won't be willing, and a lot of times that's a good indication too. Somebody not willing to get the help they need, then you got to think about that too. You got to make a decision for yourself. That's why I always say you got to understand who you are, what you are willing to put up with, and what you're not willing to put up with, and stick to your guns.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of women, older women too. There's a couple women that I work with. They're in their 60s and dealing with narcissism in their later age, and it's sad because they don't know how to get the help that they need. And then it's just you tell them, oh, well, he's got narcissistic tendencies. And it's oh, no, he's been like this for years. So you've been dealing with this. Yeah. But it's a trauma. We were talking about, Nia, it's a trauma response. They don't know. It's they know better, but they don't know better. But what would you do for
Yeah.
like an older woman? What would be your advice for an older woman that's going through like narcissistic tendencies with their partner?
But basically, really, are you really happy? I mean, truly, honestly, be honest with yourself. Are you really happy with this situation? And what is it about this situation that you would want to change about the situation? And then, especially if your partner is not willing to even listen, to even see what those changes are, that's a big indication you might need to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you with someone and they're not willing to work on it together, to do the things that he need to do while you doing the things you need to do, it's not going to work. I don't care how bad you want it to work, it's not going to work.
Yeah. I think it's that hard realization too for some women, especially maybe like you're saying, Pam, it's a generational thing. Because maybe, women that are like boomers or whatever from an older generation, and even before that, they were taught to kind of just stick it out, for better or for worse. Mm-hmm. But when does that for better or for worse? What's that gray area? What does for better or for worse really consist of? Or even
that's for better or for worse is supposed to be no matter what it is that you go through. We can work through this together. But the key is it's going to take both of you working together to get past it. If you got one trying to work it out and one is not, it's not going to work.
That's
like
true.
I said again, like I said, I don't care how bad you want it to work, unless both of you are in that same space, it's not going to work. Mm-hmm. So you have to think about what it is you're going to continue to go through because it's not going to get no better.
What's good, guys? It's Pamela and Nicole from Dynasty Queens. Real quick, I'm going to give a great shout out to our sponsor, Shopify. Are you looking to start your small online business? You can go ahead and start today with Shopify. Let me tell you why. They're the leading e-commerce brand on the internet right now. It's taking it by storm. So if you're a small business, large business, whatever kind of business you have, and you have your e-commerce that you need to get going, your marketing, purchases, whatever you want to sell to your clientele, Shopify's got you covered. They do have an easy interface, guys. So if you're looking to do easy payments with clients, just get everything off the ground, easy shopping, whatever you need to do, links, everything like that, they got you covered. It's super simple, super easy to use. So what are y'all waiting for? Go ahead and take charge of your business today and start with Shopify. It almost seems like sometimes too with the older generation, it's almost they go into survival mode because it's like, do I really want to start over from scratch? Do I really want to be by myself in my older age? They literally, I think they just put up with it and just hop into survival mode at that point sometimes. And that's really sad to see.
Yeah, it is.
Right. Or the fact of, rather putting up with abuse or, just misconduct, not treating me right, opposed to being lonely. So it's like that balancing act, like what is the perfect time to say goodbye versus let's make this work. Now, Sheila, I have another question. What about with like relatives or family relationships? Let's say, do you have clients that are like sisters or cousins, or maybe someone slept with somebody's man who's, related? Any situations like that you've come across? And then what are some of resolutions? Have you seen like a full circle, like people are healed?
Well, most of the time, I don't work with families. I have colleagues who I send them to because they're not going to be open with me. They're not going to be honest with me. So I just have a colleague to work with them.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
Now, it might be a situation where a relative that I haven't seen in a while. Mm-hmm. Now, I may can work with them a little bit. I may be able to work with them because, we don't see each other all the time.
Right.
And that'll be a little bit better. They may live in another state or something, and that'll tend to go a whole lot better.
That's what's up. Sheila, is there a difference in strategy giving therapy to parents versus caregivers? Like just it's like a non-family caregiver. Would you go two different routes as far as giving them the help they need, or would it kind of mesh together?
Well, it really all depends on them. The process is still the same, but it's different for the individual. Understand what I'm saying? Because it'd be one process, but like I said, it's just like when you go to the doctor and you get a diagnosis. Even though both of you got the same diagnosis, the approach should be different, but they don't have it to be different. But it should be different because some things that this person may already does, they may already be eating healthy. This person may not be eating healthy, so it's gonna be a different process.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Because it's individualized to the individual.
Individual. I know, kind of like on the prior episode that we did, we talked about the fact that you are in Mississippi. Do you feel like overall that Mississippi, when it comes to mental health and awareness, is just like behind on the times?
Oh yes, it's far behind. Even though we have a state hospital, this is what I was told. We have a state hospital, but the only reason we got that state hospital because the senator at the time had a personal stake in it. They didn't want it here. That's why it needs to expand, but it will not expand.
Wow.
What would it take to get y'all and get you the help that you need?
Actually, it's just like I said when I spoke on the news the last time. They first of all they have to care. They have to care.
Jeez.
I think that's the most important part of it. If you're talking to someone who is not receptive at all to what's going on, then you're not going to get any penetration as far as like the message that you're trying to deliver. So I think that's really important. Have you had clients that you've had to be like respectfully after one session, this is not going to work? And then why?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Especially when you got somebody who know everything. You can't tell them anything. Okay, so you pretty much already know. And then when you get somebody and they done seen several different people and it's always them, that's a good indication right there too. And then for somebody, sometimes they just really don't want to pay.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Self-accountability and being willing to invest in yourself.
Yes.
Self-accountability and being willing to invest in yourself, I think, are really important if you're trying to pursue any type of therapy or, just self-healing. You have to be ready. I really think you have to be ready mentally on your own. Like you said, you can't force anybody. You can bring a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink. I think that's so true. Like in everyday situations, it really is up to the person. And I think with all of us, even those who don't offer therapy to people, I think that we have to learn that, because sometimes we're like, why are you doing things this way? You should be doing this, and the third. But if they're not receptive to it, you're really wasting your breath and your energy.
Exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of times people they don't understand when you invested in yourself, that's something that can't nobody else take away from you, because that's something you have. This is a skill that you have now achieved. This is something that you have learned about yourself. That's something that nobody can take from you. And to be honest, you really can't even put a price on it.
Right.
This is very true. What would you say, which age bracket would be probably the most challenging for you, Sheila? Would you say like teenage and adolescent would be more challenging than adults, or vice versa?
Well, most of the times when it comes to the kids, you really have to really go to the parents. But sometimes what I have found that sometimes when you work with the kids and you can bring the parents on in, because they can see the children changing, they can see the change in the children, and that could prompt them to want to come in and know what's going on and how to fix it. Now, there are some parents who, sad to say, really just don't care. Just really don't care, because I know I have had a boy living with me for 5 years, and little did I know his mama was getting money for him, but he wasn't getting anything. So,
Jeez,
there was a little group of kids who, this type of lifestyle for them had become survival mode for them. They wearing each other clothes because they didn't have any kind of support. But they missing school, but when they have to come to the school, then you see the parents at the school then, but in the other time, they ain't nowhere around. So these kids, they are left to their own devices. And it's not the fact that they can't learn, but this is survival mode for them. And they were respectful to me. You see what I'm saying? So you can't say they can't learn or they can't be respectful. That's just how they're being out there in the world. And that's how they respond to them. But see, they didn't respond to me that way because I showed them concern and all
Yeah.
that.
Exactly.
So have you had to take it a step further when sitting down with a child and contact CPS or, pursue legal, something to help the child because they're in such dire straits, like this situation is not going to work for this kid. Let me go ahead and interject myself and take it to the next level.
They already be in the system. They already be in the system.
Gotcha. But have you uncovered unsafe foster homes? Have you uncovered like, hey, there's some stuff going on here? Or do you kind of just,
No, personally, I haven't, but I have heard other people, speak. Now, it was one time we had came across where a child was saying, this is the mother speaking, that they believe that the father was trying to molest the child. And now we just made a phone call and told we had found out that he was working her up to start molesting her.
Oh.
And so we was able to, get her safe.
that's like that grooming, they call it, that grooming phase or whatever before, the situation occurs, predators. That is so scary. What do you think are some telltale indicators that parents who are like busy on the hustle and bustle and really not observant to their child, what are some things maybe with a young female or with a young male that the parents should really look at as far as behavior differences that could, possibly, be like, hey, is this person being violated? What are some things that you look for, some cues and signs?
Well, a lot of times when the kids are acting out and they normally don't be acting out, that's a good indication. But it could be somebody could be doing something to them, or the fact that they're trying to get attention from the parents.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then a lot of times, so you need to pay attention to who it is that your kids are hanging around with. So when we was young coming up, our parents knew who we was hanging around with. It's not like that anymore.
Right.
Definitely not. Definitely.
Yeah, and then with the internet and stuff too, social media, these kids can be talking to grown men behind a computer screen, anything, So there's so many different factors with this new modern day and age that play into who are the children talking to, who are they conversing with? Like, who are they getting information from?
Yes, and not only that, you got to watch cartoons with your kids today. We used to watch cartoons, but now today you even have to watch cartoons with your kids.
Yeah,
literally monitoring everything. So I understand that completely, Ms. Sheila.
Yeah,
I wanted to ask you, as far as just like social work, and you hear so many stories like that, the system failed these kids, and then you see just a high turnover rate with caseworkers and stuff. Do you feel like the turnover rate is because they're not getting the assistance they need to help these families, or do you just feel like it's just so overwhelming for some people? Like they're just not.
I used to work at a group home, and just about all of the kids had been molested. But the ones who were molesting them, nothing happened to them.
Oh.
So
that's just a sad tale. And I think it happens a lot and too often, too frequently that, kids can come to people and be like, hey, all this stuff is happening to me at home. And then nothing becomes of it. There's registered sex offenders who are working in schools and all kind of crazy stuff. Crazy scenarios. So what are some things that our kids should do? What are things our children should do to protect themselves?
A lot of things with kids today, they don't really tell. And then, sometimes if somebody been doing something to them, they'll tell them, well, we'll do this or we'll do that to somebody else if you say anything. First of all, you got to get them to understand you can tell who you need to tell to get the result they're looking for. But then again, too, see, a lot of them. See, sometimes when you tell an adult, and they may not adhere to what it is you're saying, they may not pay it no attention. You say, okay, when you told one, go tell somebody else. Because see, like sometimes when you tell a teacher at school, they are obligated to check on it. But then again, too, who's to say the teacher is going to report it?
Exactly.
Right.
It's just kind of like word of mouth at that point, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it is sad to say, because it's so much stuff that I hear from kids at school, and it just be mind blowing. But I mean, I don't think I can say is to just try to do it one child at a time.
Mm-hmm.
One child at a
Definitely.
time.
So are you allowed with, working with the children, that part of it? Are you allowed in your profession to talk to them about God and the religious aspect of it, or do you have to keep it more clinical?
Well, it really depends on, I don't force anybody. If you don't want to talk about God, I understand. We'll just leave that aspect out. But if that's something that you feel like you want later on, we'll revisit that later. I mean, it just all depends on them.
What they want.
Yeah, I got you.
But that's the foundation that I use. But I don't try to, push no beliefs on nobody or anything like that. I can work with you and still get you where you need to be without that aspect.
Gotcha. What is like your most successful story thus far? Like someone who just was a complete turnaround, their life is on track. Someone that comes to mind where you're like, wow, I'm so proud of myself and I really was able to pour into this person and impact their life today.
That's a couple. Yeah, that's a couple. I mean, the guy that I had spoke about earlier, the soldier, he was one of the most profound. Then there was another girl that I had talked to who was married with young kids. Her husband was abusing her, and I'm proud of her. I mean, it's just all of them about the same. I'm proud of all of them.
So you're like, look, I am a Miss Success story in the make. Like, there's no 1, 2, 3. All of my clients
I guess
come
because
through
of my story. And everybody think their story is more important than everybody else's, but everybody's story is important. Everybody's story. I don't care how insignificant it seems to you. If it means something to you, then it's important.
Absolutely. And I can just see the smile on your face, like when asking you about your success stories, how passionate you are about it. Like you really take this to heart. This is like pretty much your purpose, because you're just radiating like, you're just thinking about the folks that have come through. That's really beautiful. It's very rare to find people that are actually genuine about what other people have going on, because at the same time, we have to take care of ourselves, like I mentioned earlier, but it takes a special type of person who's able to continuously pour and give to others. At the end of the day,
people, it's the process is simple, but it ain't easy. But it's not easy.
So what do you do to refuel, Sheila? Like after giving so much of yourself, what do you do? What's your go-to just to refill yourself and just replenish and be back with, one with you after giving so much to others?
I have colleagues that I can call and talk to. God, of course, is always number one, and meditating. Yeah, but my support group, we do pretty good for each other.
That's beautiful. Do you by chance have any like Facebook groups or any like social media groups that people can join?
I have a Facebook group called Guardians of Health.
Okay, very good. Y'all heard that. So if y'all are on Facebook, y'all want to connect with Miss Sheila?
Guardians of Health.
Guardians of Health. Everything about your story is so impactful. It's really profound. It touches me because it's just like from the pits of, what some people would not be able to come from. And the fact that you're able to give back, it's like, wow, this was your calling. It's no doubt about it. You're living your truth. You're living your passion. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I can honestly say that God and the universe is going to give back to you tenfold and then some. I'm sure you're blessed beyond measure now, but I just know there's so much more good things to come for you. Like there has to be, because you're doing too much good work out there.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Gotta be excited.
Yeah, it's a good feeling to know that you helped somebody.
For sure.
Do you have like a YouTube channel, Miss Sheila, where you can just give kind of like affirmations and just,
I'm working on
feed
that
in?
now because I'm changing everything over, trying to put everything on one thing. I'm working on it.
Gotcha.
Good. You.
Well, look, we may have to do a part 3 and follow up and be like, Miss Sheila, let us know.
Okay, because I'm in the process of I'm supposed to be writing a book, but I done put that on halt. So
No, you have to write a book because that
Yeah.
story needs to touch even more people. And hopefully, with Miss Sheila being on this platform, she can reach more people than she has and really spread, the word, the positivity, and the things that she's doing out there in the community. Mississippi needed you. And they need you, because obviously there was a lack. Yeah.
Sure. What are 3 things? You can do 1 or 2, but if you can think of 3 things, what would you tell troubled moms or moms going through grief? What would be 3 things that you would tell them to start their healing journey?
first of all, you got to be patient. You got to be patient. You got to be kind with yourself. And then you have to love yourself. Get yourself in a position to be able to help you so you can help others. And with everything, I always say, put God first.
Amen.
That makes it so simple. Like, you put God first, everything else will just literally fall in line. But It's so funny because we tell people this, and like we mentioned earlier, unless you are ready to receive it, it's not going to be impactful. It's not going to be, it's not going to be anything. So I just feel like with everything you've shared with us today, we now know, okay, it starts with us, become one with God, and then we can reach out and kind of get the therapy and the help that we need from the human people around us that can do so. So I just find that so inspiring, and I just know that the viewers will as well. If you could actually, I know you said you're working on your, what are you thinking as far as a title, or how are you going to spin it as far as just bringing the whole picture together?
Well, for me, bringing in the whole picture is just really with me being one with myself. Because when I'm one with myself, you can bring others in as well. Because when they see you and they see something about you, they're gonna want that same thing. Because I had a friend who one time she had told me, she said, I wish I could be like that. She said, I got a long way to go before I get there, but I wish I could be more like you. But it's not the point of being like me. It's really about tuning into who you are. Mm-hmm. Understanding who you are and whose you are, and don't let nothing deter you from that.
Right. How does that make you feel though when people say that they want to be more like you or that you motivate or inspire them?
How does it make you tell them? Don't think I'm here. I got here on my own. I'm stepping on the foundation that has already been laid for me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's that it takes a village concept. You just have to keep paying it forward to the next person. That's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
Keep paying it forward to the next person, blessing the next person, showering the next person, letting them know, hey, you are a wonderful, beautiful person, created beautifully by God, the way that you are. And here's how you can implement these things to help make your life as magical and amazing as possible. And I feel that a lot of us, we kind of lose sight of that when we just go through the mundane, everyday process of things. We kind of forget to be grateful for what we do have. So I know prayer is really meaningful for someone like yourself. It is for me too.
Yes.
What is a way when we have totally lost contact with who we are and we're trying to talk to God? What is something that we can just think of off, the top of our head to make us remember, hey, I am uniquely made child of God. What is something to help us get to that point when we have lost all total hope?
Well, one thing I always I try to do is get people to look at it. Wherever it's going to take for you to get back to where you was. But whatever it is, find something, whatever that is for you. But whatever that is, it got to give you more satisfaction and more gratification then you losing what you had in the first place. So that way, when you get to that point, it would be more powerful, and you can tap into that more so than where you are when you fell off. It's just
Gotcha.
like you understand what I'm saying?
A reason to keep going.
Yeah.
What does the end picture look like?
Yeah, it got to be more, but it got to be more powerful than what got you off in the first place, or it's not going to work.
What are some things that you do to make people realize that? Like,
well, it depends on them. They got to come
God.
up with that for them.
Okay.
They got to come up with that for them. It's going to be different for everybody. That's why I say it's so important for you not to be walking in somebody else's shoes. You got to walk in your own shoes.
And I love that you said that, because, we've been taught our whole lives, you don't know unless you walk in somebody else's shoes, but it's like, you're not supposed to walk in somebody else's shoes.
You'll never know. You'll never know. It's our own individual journey. It really is.
It is.
Yeah. It's so amazing. I just love the platform that we have, that we're able to have women like yourself on, and just really share with the people just how important it is to really be in tune with yourself. I really didn't understand that concept until I got older, that, we are uniquely us. We are individuals. No one will ever experience life through our lens. And that's really powerful. We have to really appreciate that. Like, God made us uniquely us. Yes. You know what I mean? I think you understand that concept, things like suicide or harming yourself go out the window, because you realize, wow, like, I'm here. I have life. I'm breathing. I woke up again today. And no one else will ever experience life the way that I do. It makes me.
But the understanding, the experience in life is different for everybody. It's not, people not going to experience life the same way. Just like you can have two people at the beach. Some people, one person can look at the beach and see one thing, and somebody else looking at they'll see something different. It just all depends on you. That's why you're unique. And we have to remember that and keep that in our minds. We are unique.
I feel like in this day and age too, like, everybody with social media and everything, people are able to just tap into who they are, and they're able to celebrate who they are in their unique way. And for the most part, it's in a positive light. People comment, and, it brings almost kind of like a psychological positivity to situations, even though it's not even, they're probably not even thinking that way, But I feel like as we progress, I think it'll get better and better for people, and they'll be able to accept themselves a lot better than like they would like 10, 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's definitely a different world than when we grew up.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
Everything's different though, because unfortunately, there's a lot of negative influences out there, and also unrealistic expectations. A lot of people are using filters with photos, or even getting surgery, stuff like that, where a lot of people are comparing themselves, young women that are coming up. So Sheila, what are some words of advice that you would give to a young woman, possibly a millennial or even younger generation, to get them to understand that what those folks say doesn't matter? What are some things to kind of help them realize that, hey, who cares about that?
Yeah, well, first you got to understand, like always going back to understanding who you are, understanding your culture, understanding your environment and how you interact with that environment is what you tell yourself, how you feel about yourself. That's profound, how you feel about yourself, because you got so many now, they don't even know how they feel.
Yeah. Just existing.
That's really sad. But see, because once you can tap into all that, then you can start to become aware of where you are. Now you can be open to understand what it is that you want and how to go after it.
Yeah, I think awareness that's the key right there, because it really deciphers the difference between existing and living is the awareness component.
Yeah, but for a lot of them, they don't even know what it is that they want. So then you got to go through a process, okay, to figure out what it is that you want. because they so much be out here so much just doing things, not knowing why, don't have a purpose to anything. So of course you're not going to know what you want.
Right. That's very true.
Right. Yeah. I can't agree more. Well, just great stuff. It was great to have you come back to talk with us once again, Sheila. This was a profound conversation, and it's bringing awareness to people. And I'm sure it's going to inspire, a lot of people that are watching. So for that, we thank you so much for joining us today on Dynasty Queens. All that I pretty much have to say in closing is this is your girl, Nia J. Make sure that you do comment, on the post here, subscribe to the channel. We love to hear you guys' opinions on things. And if you want to have Sheila come back, perhaps, because she has a lot of information to share, then let us know that too. We love to hear it. But in closing, this is your girl, Nia J, and I'm here with my lovely, wonderful best friend and co-host,
Pamela and Nicole. Real quick, Miss Sheila, right before we close out, could you go ahead and let everybody know that Facebook group one more time that they can reach out to you and join?
Guardians of Health.
Beautiful. All right. Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you with us on the show. And until next time, everybody, thank y'all for tuning in to Dynasty Queens.